It's just a video about replacing wheel studs. And when I replaced the brakes on the front of my Freightliner, I found a lot of stripped wheel studs. And instead of just, you know, replacing the bad ones, it's safer just to knock them all out and replace them all. But that's what this video is about, replacing wheel studs and lug nuts on hub piloted wheels. I'll add some more information at the end of the video if you're wanting to watch it. But anyways, here we go. So I was about to put the drum back on, and I started inspecting the wheel studs, and found a few of them that are stripped right in this area. Like that's one that's stripped. There's another one. That one's got some damaged threads. That one's damaged. And instead of half-assing it and only replacing a few of those studs, I'm just going to replace them all. This is how you get them out. Just a hammer. Putting them in is pretty simple. Try to get the corrugation, or not corrugation, the knurling lined up with the original ones. Just makes it easier. This is the tool you use. There is a certain way this thing goes on, and it looks like it goes that way. Yep, it goes that way. Where's my lubricant? I'll be back. Got to get an impact too. 3/4 inch gun. It's an 1 15/16 socket. We're gonna put some lubricant, threads, and drive it in. Each side, I'm gonna put a each side. I'm not use the old or reuse one lemon, I'm use like one side, one side, one side. Is the next one? I think you get the idea. It's pretty simple to put them in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting the rest of them in. I'll be back later. In the video, you seen me replace the studs, if you watched it. And I used this little tool right here. Now I admit, it's rare that I replace studs anymore. So that's when you see me put the nut doing that. What I was looking for was that little tiny gap in between there. A little tiny gap. This goes against the hub. Lug nut goes against that. Okay? Now, this is your best way to install studs. Now, of course, that's only built for these studs, not the other studs. Like, for example, the ones that are on the old Bud wheels, the ball and socket. You know, you got a hub pilot, and then you got a stud pilot. The hub pilot, it actually centers itself on the center of the hub, which is this type of lug nut, okay? The Bud wheels, which I don't have any of the lug nuts because they're kind of old and obsolete, but people still use them on a lot of the older trailers. But what they have is they have a stud, they have an inner lug nut, and then they have an outer lug nut. And one side is left-handed and one side is right-handed when you go to take them off, put them on. And there's actually a tool to check those lug nuts to make sure that they are, well, good quality, because they actually seat into a rim. And there's a tool to check the hole in the rim. And it's this tool right here. This checks the rim. You slide that into the rim, you put that on the other side, and if this piece, that piece, if that piece sticks out, the rim needs to be replaced. Now, this part, it's kind of self-explanatory. If it doesn't touch the edges, the lug nut, well, this one is for the outer lug nut, and then this one is for the inner lug nut. If it doesn't touch the sides, the lug nut, both inner and outer, need to be replaced. And then, of course, from that point on, it's just checking the threads at the stud. Wheel halfway on. Time to tighten it up and then retorque it. On the front of these lug nuts, they'll actually tell you what their torque specs are on these ones. It is 450 to 500 foot-pounds. I won't use a 1-inch gun on these because they're brand new and they need to be torqued. Now we torque. And there's one. Two. Three. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. So that's on. So that's yeah. I had to replace the studs. And I replaced all 20 of them. So that's 10 on one side, 10 on the other, plus the lug nuts. So everything as far as the fasteners go for the wheels are brand new. And then they need to be torqued. You gotta torque them. And then a couple 100 miles from that time, you gotta retorque them again to make sure they're torqued, because they're gonna have to seat themselves in, which I gotta do that tomorrow. I gotta re-torque them. Plus I got some other problems with the truck. But this video is about replacing wheel studs. Yeah, that's all I got for you.